Welcome back, class. This video is going to discuss today's entrance ticket questions and answers. So please make sure you pay close attention so you know how to complete that assignment. So your first question in Word today is, what is scale? And scale is the size of an object in relation to another object. So scale is represented in both of these pictures. The scale of the objects is right in your face. You can't miss it. So let's break down the definition of how it applies to these images, because when you first read the definition, it may not make too much sense, but it's basically saying when you compare the size of two objects, you can determine the scale and whether the scale is accurate or it's out of scale, meaning that the objects do or do not relate properly. So for example, the image on the far right, this massive gigantic chick, he is not to scale because he does not match any of the other objects in the picture accurately, because a chick would normally be smaller than a tractor, would normally be smaller than a farmer, not the largest image of the three. So when you compare one object, the chick, to any other object like the farm or the tractor, we know it's not to scale. It looks like this chick had way too many genetic growth hormones in its bird feed that morning, and he grew to be about 10 stories tall. So he is not to scale, just like the dining room table is not to scale on the left, because we are supposed to be able to sit comfortably in our chairs and eat at the table, where if any of these two figures walking in the room were to try to sit on that chair, they would look like a little action figure sitting at the table, because those chairs are way too big when we, the people, are actually supposed to be larger than the furniture itself. So they both represent scale, and again, scale is the size of an object in relation to another object. That is your first answer for your entrance ticket. And then the follow-up question is going to use the word scale and apply it directly to our project and the box grid that you have or should have completed using to transfer your picture. So you had a box grid on your photo and a box grid on your paper. We did that so we could transfer it to scale. We basically want the photograph, the image of the photograph, to fit the size of our paper just as perfectly as it did the photo. So the question is, why is it important to transfer your portrait to scale? And the reason is, if you didn't measure the grid properly, or you didn't follow the grid accurately and draw each object in each space of the grid where it's supposed to be, then you can by chance have your image too small, as seen in this first image here in the middle, where you're left with all this empty negative space. And if that were the case, you wouldn't just leave the space blank, you would fill it in, and then your self-portrait would no longer be, the likeness of you would no longer be the main subject. All the stuff in the background would take over as the main subjects because they're the largest and they would take up the most space. So ultimately, to answer the question, you want to transfer your portrait to scale so you can fill the whole space of the paper and maintain the same composition, maintain the same accurate design that you had from your photograph. And that basically concludes this video for your to discuss scale. So in just a moment, just close out of this video and hop over to your day 5 entrance ticket and complete your 2 questions for your easy 2 points. Once you are done that, please make sure you continue to work on your project, and you should hopefully be at the point where you're erasing your grid lines, you're drawing your background, and starting to add color. Remember, this project is not due for a few more days, but we are at the point where you should be adding color. Alright guys, I look forward to seeing your projects, and I look forward to seeing them come to life in color. Alright, bye everyone.